Okay.
Welcome everyone to the 158th episode of Politically High Tech. So, before I pre-derail this whole focus, I have a guest here. He is the third reoccurring guest, and trust me, this episode is gonna be totally different. But I will link the previous audio only episodes, episode 95. I was going to be in the description as well. And that was more about political theology, just to put it real short. And I'm not going to regurgitate anything. And I don't want to keep my guests waiting as well. This man he's multi niche, to say the least. He's not just, uh, podcaster or anybody like that. He's not a one trick pony. Okay. He's involved with Truth and Democracy, okay? That he still has that show, thank God, and Bible study for progressives. And God, they need it. They need it because they want to throw God out the window. So I'm happy for that. Me personally, I'm proudly biased. He's a author, attorney, activist, and a survivor of sexual abuse. So no, he was not raised no locked up gated community at Pleasantville, whatever state you want to insert in there. Okay, he's been through stuff, and he has a very unique understanding. And yes, I am reading from the guest sheet. Sue me. He has a very unique understanding of the problem of male loneliness, which is on the rise, and some people on the left has recognized. I got to give credit to one YouTuber, Shoe on Head. She recognizes that, and she's trying to help reduce male loneliness, sexlessness, and female promiscuity. Wow. Yeah, this is very timely to say the least. That's my honest opinion. And he's also diving into the red pills. What is this left leaning person diving to red pill? I personally think it's a good thing. You gotta reach across the aisle. Don't just stick to your little echo chamber that, oh yeah, Medicare for all, great, great, great. Or okay, Black Lives Matter, great, great, great. No, 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 no. You gotta be involved and talk to people with different opinions. You'd be surprised. You can learn something, and they can learn something from you too. It's a reciprocal experience, and what and what's and then we also go dive into a little bit what's wrong with the dating, how it affects men, and just what he does in general. I don't want to make it too specific because I like an open-ended conversations. He spoke about pornography, sexuality in colleges in Southern California, and yes, I know I have jokingly bashed Californians for invading my podcast, but he do got some really good people. Yes, I'm being a hypocrite right now because I only represent East Coast, New York, New York. I know, sue me. Um, and he has written for many. Okay, Los Angeles Daily Journal, LA Progressive, BuzzFlash. I thought that was BuzzFeed. I was going to bash BuzzFeed. I don't take them very seriously. They are our internet waste of space. Demcast and more. And he's all over the place. He's in rallies, churches. He's very involved. Seminars, public events, and online meetings. And then he also deals with global perspective on social issues. I'm not sure that's a book. Looks like it's a book cover. Um, Before he answers that, let's welcome Rich Procida. Sorry for the long introduction.
Oh, no, that's great, Elias. Thank you for having me again. I real appreciate being on your podcast. And so, but if men could stand up to women, if they don't respect you, if they're not looking up to you, if they don't admire you, then they don't have attraction for you, they don't have sexual desire for you. And this is the problem with equality in gender relationships, is this tendency for women to need to look up to the man and admire the man that they're engaged with. And so when they lose respect for you, they're going to lose attraction for you. So you have nothing to lose by standing up for yourself. Really, don't think that standing up for yourself is going to lead to women hating you. I don't think that's true. And these things, they give you superpowers. It's kind of like the Matrix. All of a sudden, you see how things really are and how women really are. And then you have sort of some superpowers. You have experiences that you could only have outside of the Matrix. You start to see that it is true that women share men, and they're never admitted to. And you make a lot of mistakes when you admit that, but they never admit to it. But they do, they share men. Okay. You'll find out.
Oh yeah, they're getting exposed to social media, those kind of women.
Right.
I
Well,
mean,
it's
the only
not.
the thing is, it's not. I get it's not as prevalent, but no, some of them are getting caught. They're getting caught. I don't
Well,
know. I don't think the consequences are very long term. That's what I could perceive, at least. Yeah, feel free to chime in on that.
yeah. Well, the thing is that they're not pursuing men openly. They're not sharing men openly. In other words, it's not like they're having an affair with a man and so forth. They're sometimes committed to that man, right? But they want a man who has options. A man who doesn't have options is unattractive. A man that another woman doesn't want is not attracted to them. They want men with certain characteristics, and so the men with those characteristics will get more action and are not necessarily going to commit to them. So
Like
they're
you said, you
sharing.
want someone, a man with confidence,
Right.
assertiveness, dominance, decisive. Not, oh well, maybe like
Yeah.
this guy ain't gonna protect me. You don't even know what he wants.
Or a guy who's 6 foot tall or bigger with a large penis and muscular abs and chest and a V. They're all looking for
Oh
the
yeah, V-shaped body. Yep.
right. It's another thing. Women are all looking for the same type of guy, whereas men, we have sexual diversity. We have we can be attracted. That there's a niche for every type of woman, But for women, they're looking for all the same things. So they end up sharing the guys, you might say unwittingly, but they're really witting. They really know more than they let on. But they know that their guy is seeing other guys, usually other women. It's not a committed relationship. And they're trying to get this guy, into a committed relationship with them, but they're just competing with multiple other women. And that's what I mean when they say they're sharing men, that they will rather have sex with a high value man than to be stuck with a low value loser. And you begin to see certain behaviors and have certain experience, like all of a sudden I realized that I have a high value, that I'm a higher value. I mean, I'm a lawyer, I'm good looking, even though I'm older and I'm a little heavy, that decreases my value. But, I make a good income, not spectacular, but it's sufficient to put me in the category. And so I'm a high value guy. And a lot of women are interested in me. The first thing they're going to try and do is make you think that you don't have any other options, or try and find out how many other women you're with, or whether you have options or not. But in any case, so I'm discovering my value, rather than simping and thinking you're going to be Captain Save-A-Ho and protect these women, and you're going to find a woman and provide for her, or you're going to be this sexual stud that she's never had sex like you've. Believe me, she's had more sex than you can imagine, probably, and has had a guy. Oh, they've all had a guy who's bigger than you and better than you in bed. And so pop your pill and give it your best shot. And it helps when you learn what women really like, not this lovey-dovey crap, not this equality crap. That's not what they want in bed, guaranteed. None of them are dominatrix by nature. They all want a dominant man. So
you heard that, listeners. You heard that. That is raw, sometimes even hurtful if you're a bit in the sensitive side. But you know what? Life is unfair. Life is rough. And I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Let me just pretend I'm the other side for a second. Do you think you're villainizing women for saying all this.
Okay, I'm Phyllis. Phyllis, I can tell. Explain that word to me again.
You're really just putting them down, calling them out for all the, you know, for all the stuff that they're doing, like picking the men that's only the cream of the crop, the the chiseled abs, the the rich. So you're saying women are just really, really picky, they're shady, they're liars. I won't be surprised they'll ask that kind of question.
Yeah. So I think there's so much, like you said, blue pill in that, because we're talking about what women do essentially. We're using behavioralism and recognizing what they do. But there's different levels. Like a lot of the guys will say things like, oh, well, this is just women's nature. This is what they do. And then you have the guys, yes, they're justified because, hey, they're survival creatures. They've needed to adapt when, their man was killed at war or they were taken captive. They needed to adapt and provide for their children. They needed a strong, tall, physically fit man to protect them, who could work and bring home food, and so forth. And therefore, this justifies women's behavior. Now, the first thing I would say to that is what women's behavior? Because yes, maybe she's looking for a guy who makes enough money to support her because she's going to have a child. Or maybe she's looking for a guy who's good looking, and like all of us do. We all want somebody who's good looking, so you can't really fault her for that. And you want somebody who's provisioning, who's going to be able to provide for her and protect her. Okay, well, that's one level of things. Now, what about prostitution? What about OnlyFans? What about going out with a guy just for a meal? What about expecting the guy to pay for things for them? What about exploiting them and tricking them or whatever? What about all these other behaviors, all these cons and scams that they try and pull on you, getting calls from women who act like they like you when they're really just after your money or something? How far does that go? And then secondly, are women capable of controlling their own behavior? Is the question here, we men, we have to control our sexuality. We have to corral it. We have to make sure that we don't let it cause us to do stupid things. We control ourselves. Women can control their behavior. So they cannot exploit men. They cannot demand money. They cannot try and make a living off of a man. They cannot try and take advantage of a man, right? And so this innocent, pure, good girl who's just looking for this man who's going to take care of her and her children is the sort of blue pill, sort of epitome of the good girl who needs support and who we can save. And the truth is, women can make their own money now. They don't need our money. And they will tell you that. They will tell you, especially the older women, that I date. I make my own money. I don't need a man's money, right? But it doesn't stop them from desiring it. It doesn't stop them from feeling that they deserve that they deserve a man who makes more money than they do. It doesn't stop them from feeling entitled to only the hottest and most studliest men, that they don't need to have sex with regular guys because studly men will have sex with them. These things are, so I would say that when we really, are we making excuses for bad behavior? To what extent are women being excused for their bad behavior by men who are ultimately just afraid to stand up to them? I mean, yes, there's some things that we can look at and say, yeah, women might have a natural tendency for that. But if they don't need your money, then don't ask for it. Don't try and take it. Don't demand it. If you pay for yourself, really, if you don't need a man's money, but it doesn't stop them from taking it, from wanting it, for desiring it. It doesn't stop them from wanting a man of higher status than them. It doesn't stop hypergamy. And this is where women need to make accommodation for equality. They need to accommodate the fact that they've demanded equality and that men are just not going to make as much money as they do necessarily. And that you're going to have to accept that they're going to marry a man who makes less money than you if you want a man, period. And then if you want a man who's a good man, right? If all you're looking for, like that woman who said, I want to get married in 3 years. Why does she want to get married? It's not religious. She doesn't want children. She wants to make bank. Right? She wants to make bank. She wants to make some money. It's not right. Putting men in situations of sexual scarcity so that they have to pay for OnlyFans, they have to pay. I mean, I don't pay, but I am so glad that I don't have to pay. I'm so glad that I'm not one of those guys who's not having sex. I've decided just today that one of the things I want to do with the last 20 to 30 years of my life is to have some of the best sex of my life. That's what I want to do with the rest of my life. And that's what I'm going to tell these women that I go and date, they want you to be friends first. Oh, let's be friends. Oh, what happens when the sexual desire isn't there anymore?
That's code word for rejection.
Yeah, really.
No, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying every single woman has done that, but there's definitely some that have. Definitely some. Keyword some. I didn't say all. Not sexist.
That's basically a rejection. The friends.
Yeah, that's that subtle code word. Yeah, let's be friends.
Well, but they also are saying now that they want to start the relationship as a friendship. But when you ask,
I mean, some do.
Yeah,
I'm going to defend those with good intentions. Those do.
Right. Well, I was maybe it's popular with some of the older women, but the problem with that is that you say, great, I would love to be your friend. I'll be your friend as long as you want, but we're not dating. You want it because they want to be friends, or they still want you to foot the bill, plan the date, take responsibility for everything, drive them around. It's not a friendship, and then when you ask them and say, well, great, if we're friends, we're not dating, we split the bill, and they'll come back with, oh, I want a traditional relationship. So again, they want to give. Orion Taraban says that women try to get as much for as little sex as possible, which is totally bizarre to me, because the real truth is that you need a woman who has genuine sexual desire for you. That's what you want. You don't want a prostitute who's having sex with you just because you pay them. I mean, if
well, you just described there, and I have to chime in. I have a very good way to put it in that and very concise organized. That's a friend with benefits.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to say so that, oh, but yeah, drive, pay for this bill, or do this, or laundry, whatever. You're friends. We're never dating, but I still need you to do that. Yeah. Then be clear with your intentions. I think that's the driving point. No. Don't just say, oh, I want sex, and all of a sudden, I'm sure it's gonna take time to actually get there. I'm not gonna say, oh, there's a woman who will sue forward to a guy. Oh, I want sex, and drive some guys away.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not sure I would recommend that. I'm not a sex or relationship expert. Let me just throw a disclaimer out there. Probably a little late. But I'm not a psychiatrist or relationship expert on that. Don't ask me for that. I would tell you how to be well guarded and see bull crap on both genders. Okay, yeah. I could tell you how to be very critical of humanity in the political system. All that. Oh yeah, I'd be great for that, but relationship. Yeah. Listen to this guy. This guy has been around. He's been this earth longer than me. You should, give it some consideration at least. at least minimally. And then of course, you know, me, I'm just hosting, I'm just guiding facilitation, adding, chiming in, and even occasionally even disagreeing. But that's just my opinion. And I'm not as experienced as he is, and I gotta recognize that. There's still some things I'm still learning. So
I,
just
I
throw it
have
out
my
there.
yeah, I have my experiences and they've affected me. And sometimes I wish that, I could be able to enjoy, play things like Mardi Gras or spring break or even strip clubs, but I can't. But it also allows me to see things that other people can't. And it's hard to go back and say, you know, had these things not happened to me, I would be a different person, maybe happier and able to probably married with children, probably not got screwed, on the divorce, probably be just the normal guy that ran through that. But because of my experience, I avoided marriage. And I knew very early on that there were women, and this is what I thought, and I didn't see it as the beta and the alpha, which of the beta is beta bucks, the provider man that the woman seeks, and the alpha, which is the stud. And she would like to have them combined into one guy, but oftentimes they're not. But that women, there are men, women marry. This is what I told myself. I must have been a teenager, and men, women have sex with, and I want to be the latter. And I knew that women had sex with men, but it's not the same. It's just like a prostitute having sex with a prostitute. It's not the same as having sex with a woman who really has genuine desire for you. And with friends with benefits, oftentimes I look at that. Now I'm seeing that as a relationship where one or both parties don't actually meet the other party's standards for a relationship. So but they do meet their standards for sexual activity, and they're friends, and they have a relationship. I've had a relationship like that. I realize now we actually love each other. I've known her since she was in junior high school, since we were in junior high school. And but would I marry her? Would I have a relationship with her? Absolutely. A one-on-one relationship? Absolutely not. Because various reasons. But so there's even a friends with benefits is kind of really a lovers, and that's what I've come to categorize what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a lover when I go on these dating things. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a housewife. I'm looking for a lover. And so that you're lovers, and sometimes you just can't have a relationship with that person because that person's not relationship material. They're just not for
Yeah, I
you.
just have conflicting goals too. I could add in there.
Yeah,
There's someone one marriage and all that. He was like, no, I just want to love.
yeah.
And
Well,
that's already a problem. Nope. Mm-mm. That's like
yeah,
trying to put a square in a triangle slot. Not
yeah,
happening.
yeah,
Incompatible.
yeah.
Incompatible. So that's all I'm gonna add into that. And how do I know some of this? I've witnessed it. I've been in great relationships with women. So
That's great. That's fantastic because I think
so
that's very important for men.
look, and I'm gonna be honest. I am not the best person you should seek advice for when it comes to relationship. Don't come to me with that. I'll tell you to be well guarded and become your own lie detector
Yeah. Well,
and
I
reflect and meditate. That's all I'm gonna say. So, and of course, read the Bible, which is cliche as it is. Um, yep. So the change I'm gonna do is I know you might be disappointed, listeners. Oh, you probably got ADHD. Don't care. Well, I hope you're the latter because it makes it easier for me. Just being honest. The whole Bible and paranormal activity, that's gonna be next time. That's gonna be for next time. I mean, you already dig to so much stuff. I think this is more than good enough for an episode. This is half of probably what Joe Rogan would normally do. So
okay. Cool.
So I would say this in terms of content, this is good. This is more than good.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, Ellis.
yeah, no, really. And I would definitely want you back on. Well, I'm cutting this part from my end.
Okay.
Especially for the more political and biblical stuff, because you got a lot to say, a lot of profound things, and instead of just trying to jam everything together, I think splitting around is better, and I'm getting more listenership because of it.
Oh, awesome.
It's
Awesome.
simpler processes that better instead of just being overly ambitious and jam everything
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
So
Sounds
that's why I've
great.
learned. That's why I've learned with feedback, tough feedback I don't want to hear it, but So let me do some plugins for you, and then of course you add whatever plugin that is needed. So he does got contact information. So if you wanna email him, reach out to him. It's Rich Rosita 64 at gmail.com. If 64 is his birth year, I don't know. I'm not gonna ask that. 562-665-3317. That's his phone number. Okay. He's a very accomplished guy, despite, you might think he's the chauvinist or a woman hater. I don't think so. Just pay attention carefully. He's just saying it like it is. And I agree with most of it. And it's ruining both genders, this problem. Especially if I'm going to be quite frank, young men and older women are getting hurt the most. I mean, by older, I'm talking about plus 40, because that's where value goes downhill from there. And young men, since women got more options, especially with these dating apps such as Tinder and whatever else, yep, they're being pushed aside. They just get what is the I think swipe left to reject. Yeah, they get left swipe. They get swipe left. So yeah, correct me if I'm wrong on that. Feel free to bash me. I don't care. I have high self-esteem. I'll move on. It's not the end of the world. So he is really looking. I mean, he has a lot of good things to say about this, and I think you should at least pay attention, because this is becoming a problem. It's already popping up, and it's just gonna get worse if nothing is done. Okay. And he has multiple podcasts, social medias. Go to youtube.com/at Truth and Democracy Coalition, facebook.com/ and they both / by the way, Truth and Democracy Coalition. And you also got Truth and Democracy Coalition.com. And then my personal favorite, Bible Study for Progressives, you atheistic heathens, you need this. .podbean.com. I'm going to say it again. Bible Study for Progressives. .podbean.com. Okay. And if for some reason my voice is a little annoying to you, the link will be in the description for you visual learners. All righty then. Anything else you want to add?
Well, I want to invite everyone to my monthly nonpartisan men's group. That's where we do the meeting and I produce a podcast out of it. You can register for that at tinyurl.com/redpillmen. You might need to add the HTTP:// stuff too.